Previously on We Promise Nothing.
One small step for...
Sorry, I'm French.
And now, this week's episode.
Hello? Hello? Is anyone there? Guys, on Mars. And I'm all alone.
Hello there, Kathy.
How do you know my name?
I am a Martian. We know many things because we have the ability of telepathy.
I guess that makes sense.
Actually, no, it doesn't.
Oh, okay.
Tell us why you're here on Mars.
I thought you said you were
Never mind that.
I was sent on a sacred mission. The human race is dead. I'm their only hope. We must repopulate the human race.
Show me what you got. Jpar, and you are listening to We Promise Nothing, the podcast. Tonight, I have a hologram of Lipp, Mars 1 astronaut Kathy, a man who is very well spoken with his hands, the Boo. But before we get started, I'd just like to give a big shout out to SoundsLikeAnEarful.com for that awesome intro music. There's some cool guys who let us use their music for our podcast. Check them out, SoundsLikeAnEarful.com. Alright, let's get started. Tonight... what we're talking about, we're reviewing the Kingsmen. That's a movie that we're going to start doing. I'm going to start reviewing things. Each week, a movie we'll pick out and we'll review that. Before that, did you want to talk about the intro that we just recorded, I should say?
Hey, it's Lipp here. I love the intro. It was actually based on Rick and Morty, just a cartoon we've all been loving lately. It's on season 2 right now. I'll pass it over now to Kathy.
Hi, it's Kathy.
She's back from Mars, I see.
A little lightheaded, the re-entry was kind of difficult.
How did the Martians treat you on Mars?
Very well.
Yeah.
I showed them what I got.
Yeah, did you? Did you repopulate on Mars?
Well, yes, I'm not sure if they're exactly human, but there has been some repopulation.
Alright, well that'll lead us up to my first question, but before we do that, Boo, thoughts on the intro?
It's pretty unique, I'll have to give it that.
Alright, we'll see what it sounds like when it's actually primed and polished. But to repopulate the human race, would you have sex with an alien of some kind? To say you're the last human, but the only way you can pass those human genes on is to have sex with another alien race of species or some kind. Would you do it?
Well, it would depend how they mate exactly. I mean, if they did it by stabbing you in the ear with, a samurai sword and it would cause great pain, then possibly not. I would have to think about it seriously. However, if they were all nice about it, sure. Got me dinner, movie, maybe a little music, something.
Lots
of
tentacles.
Lots of tentacles. Yeah.
No, usually you don't want to go out with a guy who's all hands, but imagine all tentacles.
Tentacles. You said tentacles.
So, yeah?
Yeah, like Kathy said, depends how they mate. Don't mind some biting, but, anything ferocious, gonna have to pass on that.
What would be, the weirdest thing that, how they could, what if, somehow they made you, pregnant?
Oh,
you know what I mean?
No,
oh, no!
I don't know if I'm up for that.
So the alien just no, you're gonna be the pregnant one because that's how our species works.
Well, now you're not talking about just having sex. Now you're talking about getting impregnated with an alien baby. No, I wouldn't do that.
All right.
The big face hugger thing.
But so you're not even gonna consider saving the human race? You just women do it. They carry children. So
yeah.
why wouldn't?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you want to carry just one child just to carry on the human genes?
I I don't know. I just
That's
don't think I
unfair
want
to
to
say
do it.
because I haven't actually had a human baby anyway, so I'm not a good person to actually ask. Like, hey, when you have like an alien baby, it's like, well, I haven't had a baby.
So what about you, Boo?
Are we still talking about having children? Or we're just talking
With
about the sex
aliens?
part?
Yeah, with aliens, sure.
Repopulating.
Honestly, I don't even know if I would actually be able to come down to it. Unless you're talking about not having
The
any
human
fucking choice.
race is dead.
Yeah.
What if they had
I'm-
3 boobs?
If I'm mating with
What if they
another-
have 3 boobs? Like in Total Recall.
Yeah.
Let's face it, I don't think it's going to be the way we think it would be.
I do not
we
think.
take we
There
take
might
it for
be some
granted that-
surprises, like maybe she looks normal and she's got like razor blades in the down in the, you know.
Inconceivable.
So my whole
That'd
thing
be
is
just
like,
awful.
it's not that I don't even want to be so much pregnant. Like, I don't even need to reproduce. Like, I don't need to have kids. I don't need to have alien kids or my own.
Fuck the human race. We're dead.
Well-
Kids, had your wife. No.
I'm fine just living my life, enjoying my life. You know, that's my whole thing. I already think
What?
the Earth's overpopulated a bit as is, so
On my part.
yeah, I'm good.
Doing good, doing good.
Okay, which leads. Speaking of
Whoa,
overpopulated.
whoa! You don't get out of the question. Would you
Well,
father an
like
alien
how-
child? Would you father an alien
Well, I
child?
mean, maybe to save the human race, depending if you know, like Kathy said, depending what.
And at the end, you're not
What's
saving
happening?
the human race if you're having a half alien baby. You're making a new hybrid race, first of all. So you're not. Don't you know?
Well, in a way, you're kind of saving it because you're like bringing on those human genes.
I guess so. If that's what you consider the human race now.
I think it just depends.
It's like, you know,
what we're dealing
in
with
like
here.
5 generations, or, you know, when it's 1/32 of an alien,
As
if
long
it's
as
been spliced down.
As long as I get like full disclosure as to what happens and.
You know, like, I guess the only way to even keep it going would be, like, inbreeding with other half-breeds, like...
You're right.
No.
I guess it would get kind of fucked
Yeah.
up now that you think about it, yeah.
Just throwing it out there.
But then again, how did the human race start? You know what I mean? Like,
Started somewhere.
Evolution?
Are we going to cover that topic tonight?
No,
too?
No.
speaking of the world being overpopulated, it was kind of a theme that was going on in the Kingsmen that we were watching tonight. We just watched that before we started the podcast. Do a little quick review. Spoiler alert, possibly. We'll try not to give away too much.
No, fuck it, we're reviewing the Kingsmen. You know, this is spoilers about the Kingsmen.
Oh, yeah, well, spoilers are coming up.
Don't listen to a review of the Kingsmen and expect no spoilers.
Well, yeah, but then you're telling them not to listen to the podcast. Well, if you haven't watched the Kingsmen yet, watch it, come back, listen to what we got to say about it, or fast forward to a halfway point of the show where we won't be reviewing it anymore. We'll be talking about
Put your
a new
fingers
topic.
in your ear and go la la
La la la la. Nope.
Nope.
But continue listening to the podcast by all means.
Well, I don't know.
All right, so
Edit
starting
that part out then. I guess. I don't know.
starring Samuel L. Jackson and what was that actor's name?
Well, what are you looking at me for? I was the one that knew that.
I don't know. Someone's supposed to do the research. I asked
Colin
someone to look it
Firth?
up. Is that the guy? Is that the actor's name?
Yeah, thank you.
That's not the kid. I don't know.
No, that's not the kid. Right. That's the.
Yeah, the guy.
The movie is based around the kid, but Colin Firth is a hero in the movie. He's definitely a major
Yeah,
character.
he's like the.
Oh, yeah.
And
Sensei.
you almost forget about that at one point in the movie. You kind of do think it's all about Colin Firth and his character, but they kind of like send that reality check to you. I don't really want to give away how they do that, but they kind of remind you once again in the movie at some point that it is all about the young star. Which is, he wasn't too bad either, which is, when I originally saw the previews for this movie, I didn't think it was something I would enjoy. I thought maybe I wouldn't, who is the young actor? Did you look it up there?
Taron Egerton.
There you go.
Taron.
So he's
Taron.
literally Eggsy, like his last name is Egerton, that's funny. So that's the name of the character Eggsy, he's trained to be a spy. A lot of old cliches from Bond movies, which I think makes this movie, like, great. It kind of, like, brings it all together. They talk about a lot of cliches in spy movies, Bond movies, Bourne, Get Smart, all those kind of old movies.
I like the nods.
Little tongue-in-cheek, nod to it, which I think is terrific.
Nod to the gods.
What'd you guys like about it?
I don't know. I think it was like a really underrated movie, and I like a lot of things about it. I think there's a lot of some of the best fighting scenes I've ever seen in movies in this film. Like, it was just filled with action and hilarity and just enough weirdness to make it cool.
Yeah, it had a little bit of cheesiness with Samuel L. Jackson's character, just enough cheese.
Yeah. But they even talked about that in the movie, which I thought they were very smart about, you know?
Yeah, it was actually a very clever movie, and like Kathy said, it really surprised me how good it was. When I saw the trailer, I actually had very few expectations. I thought, oh, this is like a shitty Bond ripoff.
Yeah.
They got some...
It's
some
kids. Oh, it's about kids, like, oh, another Maze Runner kind of thing. But it's not at all. It's R-rated even, so...
Yeah, it's R-rated. They throw around the F word a bit, but, it's not too bad.
Well, it's mostly the violence that it's R-rated for. There's great violent scenes in it. Like Kathy said, some great action scenes and very violent scenes as well.
I feel like it hit all the different scenes that an action movie needs to hit. It had a little car scene, but they didn't do a big car chase. He did the backwards, driving the car, which was pretty cool. Great fight scenes, absolutely great. Very fast, intense, and just sometimes gore. The middle scene, you go, ooh, yeah, and then just the fight scene continues. Really like that.
There's parts where, especially in the part where he's killing the Westboro Baptist Church people, whatever they call them in the movie, but that's who they're representing, right? There's some really violent shit in there, and even I'm looking at him, I'm like, holy fuck.
And there's just some weird satisfaction about that entire scene, and you're like, and at the end,
well, when you know it's who those characters represent, right? And it's you're like, yeah, they kind of deserve it. We're not supposed to talk about religion, but I mean, we can
not really religion. It's
no,
just humanity.
Those people are just awful.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter what you believe
humanity.
in. Those people are just terrible.
Well, but overall, I give the movie 2 enthusiastic thumbs up.
Great movie.
Yeah, I would give it 2 thumbs up. Is that the rating system?
I don't know. I
would give it stars, maybe.
No? I was thinking maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. If we were gonna do stars, I'd give it maybe a 4.5, out of 5, right?
I would agree with that.
I'd give it about
4.5 stars.
I think so, but 4.5 stars would be good.
Yeah.
I was thinking 4.5.
I guess I'll have to say 4. I don't know from you.
Okay, so why do you feel like it doesn't deserve that extra 0.5?
I don't know. I guess for me, it just didn't work in that favor in terms of being clever. Maybe a little too clever for its own good, for pretending to be, I can't say spoof or mock of spy movies, but it's trying to ride off of that theme of it, Anyhow, it was still a great movie. I have to admit all of what you guys said, but I just kind of felt like they relied too much on that. And we picked up on this fact that it's supposed to be a cliche upon a cliche. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Well, yeah. I think that was the brilliance of it.
That was the premises of it, I know.
The brilliance of it was that it was those tongue-in-cheek, those glances to the old spy movies. Even Samuel Jackson and Colin Firth are talking about it when they're sitting down at dinner, saying how they enjoy the older spy movies, saying they like the cheesy ones. And this one does
elaborate villains.
Yeah, elaborate plans and all that. And and I find it does it well, because what seems like a complete knockoff ends up being a parody, but a kind of a smart parody to it. It's like a well done.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's why I understand when Lipp had mentioned the whole cleverness of everything. That made sense to me, because everything was so well executed and organized, and you could tell there was a plan before the plan even began. In terms of how the scenes would have been cut and edited, with the exception of that one where.
Oh well, never mind. We know what the real thing. We know what the real scene was there.
I will say this much though: it's just one of those movies where I really enjoyed the surprise moments, and I think the one most of all for me was when the first Lancelot died. When you thought for sure this guy was going toe to toe with this girl, and it turned out the girl with blades on her fucking feet. All right, I get that, I really do. But the way they did it, they used it in such a way that she was even having this style of choreography where her dance, if I can call it that, with her 2 legs, would be brutal and kill everyone. There's no way you can go toe to toe with that. And yet this kid comes along. And every now and then, that's what I was looking for. I realized when I walked in on the movie, all the scenes where he conveniently avoided the blades as she was coming at him. I'm thinking, whoa, this kid's either that great compared to the first Lancelot, which how many years of experience did this guy probably have before he became Lancelot? And this kid comes along and actually has all the better moves. So that was kind of cliche for me. I think that's probably what.
And he was very agile, because he was actually doing a lot of parkour at the beginning of the movie, so he was already agile even before he got trained.
Yeah, they even show that he's military trained, because there's a picture of him when he's looking at himself in the mirror at the very beginning. So he does have a background training a little bit.
I can't
missed
remember that. I came in midway. In
the movie. But you have seen the whole movie before, so you do remember.
I forgot that scene though.
Well, that's the point, anyways. Of most of these movies, is someone's trying to fill a role or become the guy. You know what I mean? They start from nothing. They have a terrible life, and they're trying to battle these common day enemies that people generally have. And they kind of come forth and become this like super spy or superhero. You know what I mean? They get to do something different and save the world and have sex with a Danish princess.
Yeah. Actually, I enjoyed that they didn't have the cliche, like, you know, he gets together with the other spy girl at the end. It was just like...
Yes.
No, he just, like, the Danish princess, he just kind of met her at the end. He's like, yeah, I'm going to
And that goes back to the classic, like, Bond kind of thing. You know what I mean? Which was something I was kind of saying about this. How it, like, kind of...
classes it up a bit?
Yeah, it brings the suave back into, like, the spy. Like, they're so slick and cool, right? You know what I mean?
Because you feel like Daniel Craig's the brute.
Daniel Craig is... He definitely has style, but he's more rough around the edges as opposed to, like, a Pierce Brosnan, you know what I mean? So, you know...
Yeah, he's not as suave.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, I like Daniel Craig, but...
Yeah. Actually, I love, you know, those Bond movies.
Yep. It's kind of curious to see where they'll be taking it next.
Well, here we go. Are they going to make a second one? And if they are, I'm sure they are. And if they are, like, what would they have to do to, like, they got to make it so they got to keep following that thing of not make it too cliche, because there was some good surprises, as Boo said, in this movie. So it'd be nice if the next one delivered with those kind of surprises too. But how do you do it without making it too cliche?
Yeah. I found a lot of the cleverness actually came from the training sessions, or the survival sessions, I should say, you know, to get into the Kingsmen Club. You know, every single one was very clever, you know, just, you know, the situations they were put in.
And, yeah, they were kind of, they're like, there was something that they usually had to think out of, right? It wasn't always so cut and dry for them.
Absolutely. That was good. Actually, it was, you know, it's actually a decently long movie, is it not? Like, it felt long.
I think maybe 2 hours or something. It should be right there.
2 hours, 9 minutes. But, you know, like, 2 hours is... I find it's almost becoming a standard for a lot of movies these days.
It is. That's good. 2 hours is a good
amount. It filled a good 2 hours. It was action-packed. There wasn't a bit too many slow scenes. Awesome fight scenes. You know, a little bit of comedy trickled in there. A lot of clever scenes.
To me, that probably the reason why I loved it the most was the comedy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, but only the moments that were clever. After a while, they again started to get a little
also, like, I just love the gentleman umbrella weapon. That's
yeah, that was a
You didn't enjoy that? I can see your face. You didn't enjoy the gentleman umbrella weapon?
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, I was just reading some notes.
Okay. Yeah.
That was kind of bringing back that suave effect that you guys
Absolutely.
were saying too.
Okay, so
I think that was like half the joke. You know?
I was like,
yeah,
that was almost like borderline Inspector Gadget though at that point.
Well, I think that's the get smart part of it, and also the cheesy.
Bond too. Bond had a million
Bond had
gadgets,
cheesy gadgets,
belts and wristwatches.
Yeah, the watch.
Underwater cars.
Yeah. It's a spy movie.
Yeah,
they come with the gadgets. That's what made
and it definitely tips its hat towards those cheesy spy movies. So if you
Love
dig those movies, you're gonna totally love that.
Those were actually well done. That's the one thing that's part of the cleverness.
All right, so we got. I said 4.5, 4.5, 4. And a 4.
Can I change mine to like 4.25? Are we giving quarter stars?
What the heck?
No? Okay, only half. Fine then. 4.5.
Yeah.
It's hard enough to explain what the 0.5 is in the first place, anyway.
No
So
kidding. So
Come on!
Yeah.
We grew up with the metric system. It's not that good.
How finite are we gauging these ratings? Jesus.
You use multiples of 10 all the time.
Can I?
It's a quarter.
Can I use like 3/4 of a star? Like, where are we gonna stop?
A quarter. That's it. You know.
We promise nothing.
You use them with change.
We promise nothing. Okay, so that was like a great movie. That was like kind of like underrated in a way. You know what I mean? I don't know. You didn't hear too many people talk about it, but everyone who, that I know said.
I thought it was very underrated. I don't know too many people who even really talk about it.
Yeah.
But it's a great movie.
I do have to admit,
But-
any movie with Sam Jackson with a lisp,
that's
definitely
that's
worth a
hilarious.
watch.
He has my
That's
favorite. He has my
hilarious.
favorite. You know, phrase in that movie. You people talk funny.
People talk so funny. That's great. Was there a movie that you like when you went to when you're younger, or like an older movie, you're like pumped about and you went to go see, and after you saw it, you knew it was a shitty movie, but you just told yourself it was great anyways, and you just tricked yourself into believing that for years until you finally came to terms one day, maybe even broke down in tears.
Yeah,
It's just like, God damn, it's such a shitty movie.
You know what? And it's not that it was shitty. it was just so much better when I was younger, and
Yeah.
it's got to be Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2: Secret of the Use.
second one.
For years I thought it was better than the first. I don't know why, because it had Super Shredder and Talking Razor, which I guess associated with the cartoon. When
The
I was
most
younger.
anticlimactic Ninja Turtle.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's just I thought that
With
was
Kevin
such
Nash
a
as
better movie, and then I grew up and you kind of rewatch them, and you realize the first one's so much darker, so much better than the second one, which is just based really towards
Definitely.
kids and a toy line. So, yeah, that would be mine.
Yeah.
But I came to realize that a few years ago.
Kathy, you got one?
5 years ago.
I'm trying to think of one, and nothing's actually immediately coming to mind. You'll have to get back to me on that one.
Can I fill in for Kathy right here?
Oh boy, I think the bigger problem I have is I can't remember most of the movies I've seen in theater.
But it must have been like one is like you came out of theater, you're like,
Titanic.
that was good. Really?
Oh no, I can't take that one.
That was good, but you just kind of like lied to
You know
yourself.
what? What's funny? Yeah, I think the part that I lie the most about is the fact that I had gone to see it, because now it's become one of those movies where the girls were known for watching 20, 30, 40.
So you went to go see the
over.
Twilight movies, and you told
Well, I'm glad I skipped those. Thank God.
You don't like sparkly vampires? No.
What about you, Jay?
like almost every movie.
What do you mean every movie
Not
you go back
every
and
movie,
watch now?
but
It
when I was
sucks?
younger, it's like if it just had like the name of, like you said, if it was just like Ninja Turtles, like Ninja Turtles 3, oh, that was a great movie, and you're like, no, it wasn't, And it's like Mario Brothers. No, wait, you watch it again? No, not good. Batman and Robin, yeah, it's Batman. How could you go wrong? Oh God, that's bad. But even you just kind of came out like even me, like came out of Batman and Robin. I was like, that wasn't very good. But in some, I had to watch it like at least a second or a third time before I decided. Like Episode 1, the Star Wars. That's another one for sure. I'm like, yeah, it's a good movie. It's a good movie. It's like, oh, there's so many problems with this. I do it all the time.
Star Wars.
I do that all the time. And
I liked
lately,
it more than I did.
Dark Knight Rises.
Oh, really?
I don't like Dark Knight Rises. I kind of convinced myself, oh, it's good. It's the end of the Nolan trilogy. No, it sucks. I tried to watch it a second time. It's boring as all fuck. Don't like Dark Knight Rises. The Dark Knight is the best one.
Dark Knight?
Out of the Nolan trilogy, it's Dark Knight. Yeah, but
The first one.
the first one's the best with Tim Burton.
You don't think the one with Heath Ledger as the Joker is the best one?
No, it's not.
You think it just got all the praise because he passed away during the filming? Or
Well, I kind of think it did, but it was well deserved. He did a great job. I liked his role as the Joker.
I think you might be right, but it's been a few years since I watched him. I might have to go back.
But I think that's the original one from, what was it, 89?
Yeah, Tim Burton's.
Yeah, Tim Burton's 89. I think that just brought the love of Batman out of everyone. And everyone got used to that more dark style of Batman. And that's when everyone just started liking Batman again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I grew up on Batman.
Before that, it was
the animated series.
Before that, it was Adam West and Robin running around.
Which is the comedic Batman, where he's got sharp
nobody can take him
and,
seriously. And then
some
after
of his
you
bad
brought
guys are egghead and just
go get them, boys! And then they do
he's
a
throwing
dance
egg puns
routine.
around. This is exciting. Oh, God. Egg puns. Come on now. But yeah, it's I grew up on Batman the Animated Series, which is a dark cartoon, actually.
Which is based off
it's
the
dark
Tim
blue on
Burton.
black and gray on black.
which is based off that Tim Burton style of that movie.
Paul Dini did a lot for that, for Batman, I found.
That was a great... Yeah, I really love Batman the Animated Series. That's one of the best animated series ever. It was just so dark and different compared to what you saw back then.
Yeah.
And it's kind of on a it's on TV and right, it's not in a movie. You know what I mean? So
me and my buddy were actually talking the other day. It's got 4 movies. That cartoon has 4 movies, and the movies are still decent.
Let me try and guess them.
Okay.
Okay, so the first one's Mask of the Phantasm.
Yeah, that's correct.
And then there's Sub-Zero.
Yeah. Oh, maybe there's only 3. Is there only 3?
The Mystery of the Batwoman was the last one.
Yeah. Okay, maybe there's only 3.
You might be right about that.
I'll have to check that out.
Oh, there is one more. Is it Under the Red Hood?
I believe you're correct.
Yeah,
yes.
so there is 4 from that one. Plus also...
Return of the Joker?
Right, which was...
Batman Beyond.
Thank you, Batman
movie.
Beyond. I didn't really watch Batman Beyond too much, but I knew it was a part of that universe.
Yeah. It's actually really well done.
It's not bad. But I can't get over, like, it was like, no, Bruce Wayne has to be Batman. You know? Like, it's, I'm just like, no, don't ever change that. Just like...
They make reference to
my
that.
Spider-Man always has to be Peter Parker. Don't fuck around with that.
Are you okay with the clone of Peter Parker?
Well, that was okay. It was an interesting story for a bit. But I'm glad they brought it back to its roots.
Okay, how do you feel about new Captain America being Bucky?
That is... Whatever. Marvel's
that's
changing.
okay.
I can't say anything about... Marvel's changing so much right now.
Yeah. I feel like...
Stuff that I can't even keep up. This wasn't like Sam Wilson, the Falcon. Wasn't he like Captain America for a bit too?
Oh, it's possible.
Yeah. And then there was a female Thor for a bit. And now there's going to be like an Oriental... like an Asian Hulk now.
Oh,
yeah.
interesting.
That's the latest. That's the latest thing I've been reading. So I'm like, holy fuck! They're like doing a lot of changes, and mostly I think just to help their movies out, right? Because,
make it more international.
Because by the time they get to Infinity Wars, like these stars
are all international. You know, they go to all the major cities.
By the time they get there, the stars like maybe their contract's gonna be done. Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, and all that. You know what I mean? So they might switch it over to like a new breed of heroes, the ones that they could say like, well, look, they were in the comics, you know what I mean? So it's not like we're just pulling this out of our ass kind of thing. And they also do things like, you know, they killed like Wolverine off, you know, and that's probably mainly part that they don't really have the X-Men franchise for the movies, you know, so
yeah, because Fox has the
so
rights
less
to them,
stories with, you know, I'm sure they'll always, of course, they're gonna bring Wolverine back, like everyone loves Wolverine.
Yeah.
But
Okay, now I don't know if you guys heard about this. The rights of either Godzilla or King Kong
Oh,
got transferred over to Universal.
yeah,
So
it's
there's now going to be a
Godzilla versus King Kong, like a
King
new
Kong
one.
movie.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
How do you guys feel about that? Who should win in the battle? King Kong versus Godzilla.
Who should win?
I'm still gonna say Godzilla, but
Yeah, Godzilla. Is
I would
my
say
vote.
Godzilla. There's
Bigger teeth.
He breathes fire. Come
he
on.
breathes fire, yeah. Like, I mean, King Kong is gonna be like fighting Godzilla, and he's gonna see some pretty little blonde, and he's gonna be distracted. He's gonna get a big monkey boner, and then Godzilla will just like, fucking blow the flames on him and gone. Fucking.
If you're gonna talk about him, you have to say his name correctly. It's Godzilla.
Godzilla!
Godzilla.
Yeah, they're totally gonna do that. I said they should have been doing that for a while, anyways. Like, more Freddy versus Jasons, more Godzillas versus King Kongs, more werewolf versus Dracula, more kind of that kind of stuff.
I'm not a fan of that myself.
I like that. I think that's
never...
great. I think that makes those more interesting, you know, like...
Yeah, I think I'll see. I don't know if I'll see it in theaters, but I'll definitely see it.
Well, yeah, I still want to see it.
To me, it's just too much like...
I don't know if like goes...
measuring your dick.
I don't even really like...
You know?
you're just trying to remind me of that other TV show that was on not long ago. Deadliest Warrior.
Deadliest Warrior.
Does Godzilla actually breathe fire?
Yeah,
Does it?
totally
Okay.
does.
I'm just trying to think here. I know he's got the atomic ray blast.
Here I am opening this can right beside the...
Okay, we just call it. You can actually edit all this out.
Product placement. No.
Really bad product placement.
Yeah.
I can't see what we're drinking.
I mean, you could hear it, and then when you can hear
We
it,
could say it's anything.
yeah, exactly.
It's like-
But
We could be drinking Pepsi and say it's Coke. And then-
Oh, bite your tongue.
No, we just say it's Coke and we collect the money
Ah.
from Coke,
Okay.
and they don't know because they're only gonna hear that. Coca-Cola Classic goes down smooth, you know. And meanwhile,
and edit that out.
we're drinking and we're drinking delicious Pepsi. That's the part you edit out, so that way we get our ching ching from Coke.
Boo.
Hey, I had nothing to do with it.
Bad form. Yeah, that's true. I'm sorry. I keep blaming everything on you.
All
I don't
right.
mean to.
Not cool.
Not cool. Yeah. Disqualified.
Not cool.
I'd like to remind everyone that today's episode is brought to you by Random Thoughts by Kathy.
What if toys really have feelings?
What if toys really had feelings? I want everyone to think about that for a second.
Do you guys ever, shuffle inanimate objects, or move them in order, just so like new things come to the front, or, kind of give them their own personality.
There's
You know, like, I think it needs its fair share, so I'm going to use this one first and then this one.
show time on each end, you know. Like, it gets put on the back
You're a
shelf.
little bit crazy because you just give inanimate objects.
Like hierarchy,
yeah.
thing. Because I think every kid pretty much gives their toys a voice and feelings and whatever. And you know, I don't know. I remember I always had like, if I had to put my toy away for any length of time, I felt bad for the toy, even as a child. But so
He-Man, no. Yeah, like you
yeah.
feel like you need to play with it a little bit, like
exactly.
It's not getting. Its
but what if
attention.
But if you
We still
found
had
out that
favorites.
all this time they actually did have feelings, and you had no idea up to this point? How bad would you feel about the toys that you've treated?
Skeletor would be really sad because he
all I can
loses
say
all
is-
the time.
yeah.
All I could say is if I can talk for anyone here in terms of how dirty-minded you might have been when you were a child at some point, then you might
What
have...
did you make your toys do?
Let me remind everyone, and I'm sure everyone here can admit the stupidity or idea of taking Ken and Barbie, figuring that out somehow.
Why did
If
you
they
have
had
Ken and
feel-
Barbie?
If they had feelings, you made them very happy.
Like
Or
Ken and
sad.
Barbie, because probably your sister's toys. I just find it funny though that someone comes to me and asks
Barbie
me, well,
was
what
hers.
happened if they had feelings that whole time? Well, then they should be thanking me.
But what if yes, but what if Ken was gay?
Oh, that's a different problem.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're
But he
forcing
should still
Barbie
think
on him.
Yeah.
Sure.
And what if Barbie was a big old lesbian? Of course, none of them are anatomically
How do you know
correct,
that?
so I don't know. I don't know.
It's a whole other discussion.
True.
You guys
True
think the
enough.
girl who spent thousands of dollars trying to look like Barbie?
Oh yes, that's scary.
That's disgusting.
Yeah.
It's she just looks so fake. Like it doesn't look real.
Wow,
You're just like you look. It takes you like a second look to look at her. You're like, what the? You can't even believe it's a living thing because she looks like a real doll. You know, like, it's crazy.
No, it's one thing to get a little bit of plastic surgery, but when you're mutating your body, like completely mutating your body to look like something completely different, it just weird. I don't know, like in my opinion, like that's just how I feel about it. I mean, everyone has their own opinions on what they want to do to their own bodies. That's fine, but just for me, I don't get it myself. That's just my thought on that.
Once again, this episode was brought to you by Random Thoughts by Kathy.
Yeah. So what's the next topic? Oh, sorry, I didn't realize Random Thoughts with Kathy had like sound effects after it.
Well, that's the dream sound effect. It kind of like
To come back, you know.
yeah. Come back to reality. Time to come back to reality.
Oh, there goes gravity.
Oh,
I can't even help myself. You guys aren't new. You know this is how I roll. Anyway.
gotta lose yourself.
Mom spaghetti.
Mom spaghetti.
Mom Oh, speaking of which, what is your the favorite dish that your mother makes? Like
Spaghetti's pretty good. Lasagna. That's good.
For me, it's gotta be scalloped potatoes.
my mom's
Homemade
homemade
stuff.
stew is delicious.
I have to admit, I had to laugh about this, but mine's pizza. She makes the best home pizza. I don't know why.
Oh, really?
Oh, that's a nice one.
Yeah, homemade pizza's good too.
I can see that. I
Oh.
can see that.
Why'd you get us that? Now I'm hungry.
Uh-oh.
And we're not even. We still got a half hour to go to this podcast.
Well, you should have thought ahead. Streets ahead.
Should have been streets ahead.
Should've
Now
been
we're streets behind.
Now we're streets behind.
Yeah.
Wah, wah.
More
Community
more references that people probably won't understand. Or if you, hopefully you do understand. Hopefully that's the reason you're listening to us is because we say some stuff that's cool. It's like I know what they're
But
talking
we
about.
promise nothing.
But we promise nothing.
We're actually talking about our favorite words, or just words that are fun to say. Like, what would be your favorite words? Like mine would be like shenanigans. I love the word shenanigans, and plethora. Plethora. I don't know.
Plethора's a fun one.
Plethora. You can. I don't know. For some reason, I like plethora and shenanigans. Those are my two favorite words. I have to say.
Fuck. I like fuck a lot. Fuck's a great word.
Fuck no.
I like that video. How it can be basically, a verb, a noun,
Yeah.
an adjective.
It's the most versatile
it's
word
a
in the
very-
entire
I
planet.
don't give a plethora of fucks. See, that's
Yeah.
great.
A plethora. A day is good when you have a plethora of shenanigans.
I can only think of one word that really got stuck in my head, and I couldn't stop saying it all day long in the past, which was
Swifty?
Loblaws.
And then what happened is his first name
Is
was
it from
Bob.
Arrested Development?
Bob Loblaws.
Bob Loblaws.
Bob Loblaws.
And imagine that
Blah,
just
blah,
all
blah,
day.
blah, blah.
Blah, 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 blah. Repeating that.
It is a weird
Trying
word.
to do some work, and you're sitting there trying to do something, you
Blah,
realize
blah,
you hear in the
blah,
background, blah, blah.
Just from Rick and Morty, like wubba lubba dub dub.
Yeah,
it's
wubba
actually
lubba
pretty
dub
fun
dub.
to say. And
Swifty,
just, you know,
get swifty.
show me what you got.
Unfortunately,
is fun
we
to say.
have been not very fortunate. We've been influenced by Rick and Morty. So that's another great cartoon on, I believe, Cartoon Network?
Yeah, it's on
Yeah.
Adult Swim.
Adult Swim. Great cartoon. Hilarious if you like sci-fi
It's a
stuff.
very quotable show, as you mentioned before.
Yeah, quotable, very sci-fi oriented. The characters are based off of Back to the Future characters, Doc and Marty. This is Rick and Morty. It has nothing to do with time travel, though. It's like interdimensional travel. Great show. Alright, so next topic. What's like some really crappy like fads from childhood?
Crazy Bones. I feel like Crazy Bones is a pretty
What the
shitty
heck
one.
is Crazy Bones?
You don't remember Crazy Bones?
What was Crazy Bones?
I don't know. They had like a million different fucking
Kinda like
faces on them.
Pogs or something?
Well, it was after Pogs. A few years after Pogs.
There was
After
something-
Pogs came back.
There was
After
something
Pogs.
after Pogs?
Yeah.
I thought Pokemon
And you
was
would hold
after
it. You would
Pogs.
hold.
To
You would hold
Pogs.
them, and you drop your little Crazy Bone. It would fall onto other Crazy Bones. If you knocked them over, you got to like keep that person's Crazy Bones. So you're trying to like collect all the different stupid Crazy Bones. And so you know, be like, okay, I'm gonna put like 3 or 4 in there, and then you put 3 and 4, and you're trying to get the ones you don't have, and they're trying to get yours. Or you just trade them straight up, you know.
Crazy Bones. There's so many things that like we don't use anymore. Remember like
Pokemon cards.
Oh no, people still do
Well, I
Pokemon
know.
cards. I guarantee they do.
What about like the million card
Right
games
now,
that
you
came to
just
follow,
like you
like
just pissed
Yu-Gi-Oh?
off so many
Wow,
Pokemon
sorry.
kids right now.
I know. I'm well aware that what came out like X and Y, and then what was the game after that? There was a Diamond and
What, Alpha Sapphire and
yeah,
Omega Ruby?
yeah.
Huh?
The 3DS.
Those are the new games. I actually know the new games. See, you're talking about
3DS.
Pokemon. I know some of them. Yes, for the
I'll
Nintendo
just
3DS.
nod and agree.
Anyhow,
Smiling. No.
other things from the was it
Remember the
80s and
clackers?
90s?
Remember the clackers? Remember you had to do, you could do the butterfly, and you like there's like 2 stupid like plastic thing, like 2 balls at the end, and they had the plastic things.
This is before my time.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you're right. I forgot
Now-
about
And
this.
then it's stupid tricks. You only do like 2 or 3
you could
tricks
spin
with
it,
them.
spin it around.
Yeah,
and
like 2 or 3 tricks, and that was about it. And of course, they were all fluorescent too, just like everything back in the 80s, 90s.
I think yo-yos are ever gonna come back.
Oh, there's
I think they're still kind of hanging on. It's just
Yo-yos,
like-
I think yo-yos they're still around.
I was
I don't
in
know.
Cedar Point, in the line at Cedar Point, which is like an amusement park in Ohio last year, and a guy just whips out a yo-yo and just starts yo-yoing in line.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's still, there's still,
people
I think
who
people,
do it.
yo-yoing out there. What were you gonna say, Cassie?
Oh no, I think that like my favorite gadget when I was a kid, but it was like one of the most dangerous ones, and I can't believe that we were able to use it. They would look like they were plastic that you would put over your boots, so you could actually
Your boobs?
ski boots.
Oh, your boobs.
Boots, on
Boots.
feet.
That's a weird place for 'em.
Butt. Anyway, and like, there's a red plastic things, and then they just went over your boots, so when you can actually just go down the hill on your feet. And how many times I almost killed myself? I think I actually
Jesus.
fell into the creek at one point, but
Boots for skiing.
they'd
That's
only
not-
I think they'd only lasted one season. I think they were discontinued the following season. But they were the best invention ever, and I'm very, very sad that they're gone. Although I can see why they're gone, because I could have easily killed myself on
See,
more
when
than
you
one occasion.
said it was dangerous, I was thinking, now it's actually something I played with. My dad got it at a yard sale. My generation should have never had it. Lawn darts.
Oh,
yes.
yes.
Oh, shit.
You know, the heavy ones with the giant needles, like metal
They're
needle.
alright, as long as you don't have stupid kids.
Well, just don't stand where you're gonna feel.
Oh yeah, exactly. It's like, no, you come back over here. Everyone stands on this side. You don't stand over there by the cars.
Our family used to have one of those, and we had some moments where we came close.
Hence the adult supervision, but sometimes the adults can't supervise
when
or
they're
being.
throwing
Or they're
over.
supervising from a lawn chair with a beer.
Adults can even
Yes.
supervise themselves sometimes.
That's what I'm saying, especially nowadays. I don't know.
I've seen needles land at people's feet like inches away. Like it's just retarded with those things.
It's one thing I never actually got into playing with, thank God, because you know how clumsy I am, I would be dead right now. Possibly. And not because I was stupid, just because I would fall with it or stab my eye with it by accident. Something.
I'm trying to think of other fads.
Other fads.
Sticker
One
books?
thing-
I don't know.
Sticker books. That's
Oh,
a
scratch and sniff.
That wasn't a dumb thing though. I love sticker books. I had lots of them.
Yeah, same.
My first one was like a Masters of the
I remember
Universe.
trading them, but after you took it off once or twice, it was fucked. The stickers never stayed in there, and then you lose half of them.
I wouldn't stick it until I knew I needed it, and then if I don't know.
I can think of two that are of different nature. What was it? Beaver panels, like beaver paneling.
Beer panel, no punchbacks.
And then there's those.
Punch buggy, no punchbacks.
There's no punch button.
Padiddle. I remember Padiddle.
The hell was the other one? Corduroy.
Oh my god, corduroy pants.
Corduroy, well, just anything corduroy. It was amazing how corduroy was on everything after a while. I mean, I've seen them make cushions out of corduroy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Drapes out of corduroy. You know, like I'm sure if they could make earrings out of it, they'd do it too.
And you don't see that wood
It was
paneling
true.
in houses anymore?
No.
Well, you do in some old houses, but most modern houses you don't see
I was
it.
saying, but my entire apartment's.
I was just thinking like your apartment actually has it, but it's like painted over.
But the entire place
Whoops.
is wood paneling. Thank you very much. No, I like it.
I
It's so
forgot
cute.
about that.
It's so cute. I like it.
Yeah. Any other things? Old school things
From the
Remember those like snap bracelets? You like
Yes.
like slap it onto your wrist and it goes whoosh, wraps around. It's like this piece of metal that would like.
Yeah, I remember those.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
do. They came in like that was like early '90s. They're fluorescent colors.
Yeah, those were fluorescent. Everything was fluorescent back then.
What about fanny packs?
Fanny
Oh,
packs.
God.
Unfortunately, they're still around.
Yeah,
they-
they never went away with the cautious traveler.
You know,
The
cautious-
windbreakers that
Or-
would go into that
or
pouch that you
professional
put around your
wrestlers.
waist.
Yeah.
Fans of professional wrestling.
Oh God, fancy.
They have fanny packs. Not me though. I don't have a fanny pack.
Trying to think of other cards. What about like all the cards that came after Pokemon, like Yu-Gi-Oh?
Well, it wasn't like Magic before Pokemon, or what was first?
Magic is still around.
Well, Magic is definitely still around. That came before Pokemon. That definitely came before
Yeah.
Pokemon.
I think
Because
so.
I remember like people were playing it in high school when I was in high school, and then Pokemon was still way after that.
Absolutely.
So that was first, and then Pokemon's kind of a part of that, like the trading the cards and the games and the Pokemon, the Pokemans
So
and the
now,
Pokemons.
Is the card game? The card game is based on the video game, correct?
Yes, it's owned by Nintendo. Nintendo used to be a card company. Did you know that?
Yes.
Before they were a video game company, they used to be a card company.
Yeah.
So that's
Like
kind
playing cards.
Yeah, I guess it was playing cards.
Well, and then other types of cards as well.
Well, there's other. Yeah, I don't know.
I think it started off originally as
Probably. That's a playing card in a way. But it's just a different style. It's like
Absolutely.
an RPG format, or So, so what's after that? What else is there?
Well, what about
Is
just the non?
Yu-Gi-Oh a thing? Like, is that a thing?
I don't know. Is
Is that
Digimon
real?
still a thing?
I don't
or
know.
is-
I don't. Even, how could Digimon still be a thing? It's such a rip off of Pokemon. Digimon, digital monsters, something. I don't know. I don't know shit. When you start getting the Emons and the
Well,
Eos
there's
and
still there's always a rip off of anything successful. Think of Power Rangers. Then what was it like Beetleborgs?
yeah, but I think they were ripping themselves off. Was the same company? That was still that same company.
They're just
Saban
trying
or
to
whatever.
take more milk out of the same cow.
Oh,
right?
totally. And they made so many of those. Even made like a Ninja Turtle version of like the new mutation that had that new girl, Ninja Turtle Venus, whatever the fuck. They tried to make it like Venus de Milo or whatever. She was Venus, like that was her name. Yeah, they did that, and they had one with the Ninja Turtles, and they met the Power Rangers. Even.
What about Goosebump books?
Oh, they're making a new movie with Jack Black.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't look that good.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. I feel like Goosebumps books also had like its own ripoff. Like I feel like after Goosebumps books, there's like those Animorph books. Remember those coming in?
Was that like a ripoff of
Well,
Goosebumps?
I just feel like there was a big book craze with Goosebumps coming out.
Goosebumps. Yeah.
With Goosebumps.
I used to mix it up. When I was younger, I used to say Goosebumps all the time too. I was totally old enough to say it properly. I was just fucking dyslexic or something.
So yeah, I feel like it's just cashing in on the same kind of thing.
Well, Goosebumps is kind of like a kid version of like Tales from the Crypt, or
Oh, I love Tales from the Crypt.
or like like Twilight Zone, or Outer Limits.
That was more my
The Outer Limits. Please stand by.
Yeah. No, that was more my alley.
That was your jam.
That was my jam. I like horror films a lot, and cartoons.
And like that's
it was just like either
that's what
cartoons
X-Files
or
is big
horror
too. Like
Oh, wow.
That's something to bring back too.
Yes, they are.
Everything's coming back.
Original actors too. They got Duchovny.
Oh, I know.
Gillian
Gillian Anderson.
We noticed that there's some cartoons that are coming back as well.
Oh yeah, what we see today?
Inspector Gadget,
new Alvin and the Chipmunks.
Alvin,
I think a new Inspector Gadget.
Alvin.
Really?
And
New
so
Inspector Gadget?
Have we entered, a generation where nothing's new anymore? It's just a remake
absolutely.
of everything.
I think
we're getting Star Wars. We're getting.
We're the last generation that got things.
Well,
new.
even our generation had
Gadget.
stuff recycled. I mean, we introduced a lot of new stuff like
There's very
Masters
few
of the
new
Universe
things.
and like Transformers, G.I. Joe, Thundercats,
Gargoyles.
Ghostbusters, Gargoyles. Like those are some of the things that kind of came out of our generation.
I guess so. I just feel there's not too many original ideas these days, man.
Well,
Even
but
news
other than
anchors
that,
like
I mean, other than that, it was still like all the same superheroes: Batman, Spider-Man, Superman. They were always around.
I think that's never really been a big change in
Like
that regard.
Scooby Doo's been around forever. Bugs Bunny, like
They're always looking for reasons to wanting to reintroduce what already worked. So they're milking every dollar out of everything they possibly can. So it makes sense.
what's
But it's
unique.
not the first time we've seen it. We've just seen it more and more over the past several years.
What's unique from our generation is video game characters. That's something that
Yes,
hasn't been
absolutely.
done before. Like Mario and Sonic.
Mega Man,
Yeah, like those guys are
Zelda.
Like, now those are timeless characters. You know what I mean? Like in Japan, like children recognize Mario more than they do Mickey Mouse.
Yeah.
I think even
Yeah,
I could
that's
say
really
even
true.
a lot of kids like America would probably recognize Mario before they'd recognize Mickey. You know what I mean? Just the way we've grown up and stuff.
Absolutely.
For sure.
You're absolutely right. I feel like Ninja Turtles is actually very original content from our childhood.
Yeah, spoof of Daredevil and other like ninja kind of comics. The Urban Ninja.
But it's just so weird.
Yeah, but
Just
it's like out there.
The
Well, it's 'cause-
mutants,
well,
the
first of all, they're
dimensions.
ninja turtles. Like turtles are like the slowest creatures. Like, and then they're ninjas. Like what?
Yeah, and even the Muppets are coming back, but they're not even gonna have the same format as they had before.
Oh, you mean like the Muppet Show, or like a version of the Muppet Show, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's just called the Muppets. I was just watching a preview about it earlier today, and
That's cool.
by the looks of it, though, they're making it more like a sitcom more than a
sitcom?
variety act. Like you know what I
Really?
mean?
That's
yeah, and I'm not sure if it's gonna be like mini movies every single time.
Huh.
By the looks of it, I could be completely wrong about it, but that's how I interpreted basically what they were saying or and showing on the preview, and I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know thoughts because I always like the Muppets and the variety, and you've seen all these different actors coming in and doing skits and whatever. I guess it'd be the same.
Still
thing.
do the
That's
same
called
thing,
a
just still be
sitcom.
acting it out. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, it
I
might
don't
be
know.
interesting. A different take on it wouldn't be too bad. Like, remember when they brought that old, they brought the new Looney Tunes cartoon in, and they made it more Seinfeldish in a way, with Bugs and Daffy living together?
Oh yeah. They try to make it more The Odd Couple more than Bugs Bunny show, I guess.
That was good though. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, no, it was entertaining.
I
It
didn't
wasn't
like
the same, but it
I
was
didn't like the
still
Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner cartoons because they were computer animated in them. But I liked the Bugs and Daffy like together living in that. I thought that was interesting.
Is that the one with Lola in it?
Yeah,
Or-
she's a nut job in that one.
Yeah.
And even Daffy has like a girlfriend.
Yeah.
It's
I like
actually pretty
Lola.
good. There's
She's
one
good.
thing you can tell like it's kind of inspired from like some of them almost do like a Seinfeldish kind of concepts. Like I know you two aren't big on it, but Lipp, you might appreciate that.
Yeah.
I couldn't stand that sense of humor for
No.
Seinfeld. I don't know. It just wasn't something that really.
It was not
Oh,
my thing
really?
either. Most
We're-
of
we're
the-
like-
enjoy it.
We're absolutely divided when it comes to like Seinfeld.
It's so good.
I don't loathe it, but I don't like it. I don't go out of my way to watch it. But if it's on, I'm not going to sit there and pout unless Elaine's in it too much, and then I just kind of walk out. But
Why you don't like the Elaine dance?
I just don't like her as a human being, I think. Because anything she's in, it just drives me insane. And there's just, those certain people that no matter what, they just
Drew Barrymore.
get on your... Which surprises me. I love
Drives
her.
me nuts.
But she's a gem. Love
Nah.
her. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't know if I have
No.
any single actor I dislike. in a
Wait, you
movie.
hate her in E.T.? What do you have her against her in E.T.?
Well, she's just a kid, so it doesn't bother me in E.T. Plus, when's the last time I watched E.T.? Probably
Couple
not
months
since.
ago.
No, I don't.
There's a movie we should review next week. E.T.
Oh god.
Ooh.
We should though
I
because
followed up
Yeah,
by
it's a
the
good
entire
one.
video
Oh,
game.
no.
we should.
Oh, like just watch old random like our favorite movies as children.
Well, okay. You know what? E.T. was recommended. We'll do it
Yeah,
because
we'll
I
do
haven't
E.T.
seen it in a
thing.
long time,
I haven't
and
seen it forever.
I only
we can
watched
see
part
it,
of it.
what the difference is now watching it now compared to then.
Of course, I watched the end, so of course I bowled. But that was recently. But I only watched part of it.
To me, I think I don't think I'm gonna enjoy it. I think I'm gonna think it's outdated when I go and watch it.
The acting is bad. I know you're gonna find the acting very, very terrible. But
I wasn't, when I was a kid, I liked E.T., but it's something I just totally grew out of.
it's cute. I like it.
I'll have to, it's been so long since I've seen it, so we'll have to see. So whose vote is it for E.T.? And I actually want to throw it out there, and I mentioned I've recently seen it. It was My Dinner with Andre as my suggestion. Within the next few weeks, maybe we can review that movie.
Goonies.
What's
Oh,
that?
My Dinner with Andre.
Thumbs down for
My Dinner
Goonies.
with Andre. Never heard of it.
But see, that's why we should watch it because we have we're completely torn again on the whole
So you're gonna
Goonies
make me
thing.
watch a
It is.
movie I
It
don't
is.
like?
Yes. No, I'm just kidding. Doesn't matter. Just a thought.
This week, whole bunch of hateful comments from our choices. It's
I
like, oh,
know.
how dare you make fun of Pokemon and E.T.
Well,
and
nobody's making
Goonies.
fun of Pokemon. Everyone loves Pokemon. Let's just say that.
It's like, yeah, let's not piss those Pokemon people off.
No, I got nothing against Pokemon.
They're okay. I'm not a
I'm
huge
alright.
Pokemon fan.
Oh man, I found those games so fun, so addicting. My only complaint about that game is you had to have the red and the blue to get all of them. I wanted to catch all of them on a single cartridge. Not possible.
Cash cow. Let's make you buy the
Yeah,
second
well,
game.
yeah, and you got to trade with your friends and stuff.
Gotta catch them all.
Well, you don't gotta, but course,
Speaking
yeah.
of video games, I guess we can talk a bit on that. And you've just played the new Mad Max video game. Did you want to give the audience a little bit of a review or no? Oh, well, I guess we'll move on then. I guess, sorry guys, we're not going to hear about Mad Max this week.
there's not much else I could really say other than it has its free roam, benefits. A lot of the time spent, roaming in the wasteland. But I think it's the car. The car kind of sells the game more than anything else, or I should say, cars. You have quite a bit of customizable options and whatnot, but it always drives you to want to actually collect more parts out in the wasteland to be able to save up for the next big beast. So with that said, I think the game has a lot of potential. I think the story is still a little slow going though, but I think because what it sells the most of is the combat. So you're dealing with something similar to Batman Arkham Knight, a lot of counter attacks and whatnot. I guess you could say that it has the strong influence of such a game, but anyway, it has its own feel of how you would attack. But a lot of fun.
Yeah.
That's it.
Did you want to give a star rating to it? Have you
I
played that
can't-
far into it that you could give it a
No,
star
I don't
rating
think
yet?
that's the thing. I'd have to give it more time.
4.32. No, I'm just
What I saw of it, I got to see a little bit when you brought it over here. Looks very much reminiscent of like Road Warrior and Fury Road, which is great. And as I was saying it, I was interested to watch because I do want to see more Mad Max storylines. Like I've seen many Batman storylines and many different versions of it. So I feel like Mad Max is a character that hasn't been really explored too much, and I think we're gonna see that happen very soon. I'm sure they're making more Mad Max movies.
Sure, their heads are spinning right now.
Well, absolutely. It got great reviews. The movie was better than I expected, I think. Going in a lot like the Kingsmen. I didn't quite know what to expect.
It was great action scenes, a lot of fun car chase scenes. Yeah, it was good. It was interesting. I had a lot of cool things. You know, the whole blood transfusion to keep people alive, kind of, you know, motive going within the wasteland. It's interesting.
Was it for blood? I thought it had more to do with adrenaline.
Wow.
Because he was, because we're talking Tom Hardy's character being almost like at the state of panic, and his blood was pumping so hard, like his heart was racing so much so that the blood fed into him was more oxygenized.
Oh, okay,
that's why he
could
gets
be.
that rush all the time. That's why he had that.
Yeah, I don't know the whole, you know, reasoning behind it. I just know, you know, they were hooked up and it gave him power or whatever. He was taking his blood.
I thought of him as like an IV more than anything else. It's like he was just like that pole that they would always walk around with, but no, he had to be attached to the car, obviously, that whole time.
Yeah. It was interesting.
Well, they did that too in Road Warrior.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, on a different level. I don't think they did it with the use of them being IV, but I think it was
They
almost
had someone on the front.
It was almost
Yeah.
like a scare tactic. You know,
Yeah.
here's the latest guy that came into our territory. You know, and this is what you get for stepping behind our boundary.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Actually, I think for me the best scene that gave me my first raw feel of what Road Warrior was really trying to portray before the movie even began, or at least before it really got full tilt, was the scene where they're looking through the binoculars and they're witnessing the people getting murdered and raped right there, all in one shot. And literally the gang dispersed and literally took one person after the other, and then from a distance, without any sound, literally, it kind of felt eerily that much more raw, you know. So I think that kind of set the tone for me throughout the whole movie. From then on, it was just that same desperation effect throughout the whole movie, right down to Mel Gibson's, had to have the scanner to check the water, if it was irradiated or not there when he was offered free water, not free, I should say, sold water. But, I don't know, that whole movie was very well done.
I love Road Warrior, and Fury Road was also a brilliant addition to the Mad Max movie franchise. Because, let's face it, the first one and Thunderdome aren't that good, right? So,
well, Thunderdome was watered down. That was.
Yeah, definitely was.
That was meant more for the kids, I think, than anything else, because they clearly took out all of the violence, with the exception of.
Which I found they did a lot when they made sequels back in the 80s. They really watered it down when they make the sequels. The next one, you know what I mean?
Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, there you go, Ninja Turtles 2. A lot of things, really. Like, even the Batman movies were watered down over time. When you look at Batman Forever, Batman and Robin,
Yeah, you're right. There was a pattern for that back then.
Definitely all about the merchandising. That's what they're trying to cater to kids. So if you guys lived in like this Mad Max Road Warrior kind of world, what side would you be on? What would your name be? How would you live your life? What would you do?
Sweet Lord, which question we start with?
Well, I don't know. You just start wherever you want. Everyone obviously wants to be Max, right? You want to be that guy.
Yeah, but how long do you actually survive as that guy?
How long do you survive as Max? You know what I mean? Like, works out for him, but
I think very few people survive, days, weeks, even as Max.
So your
as a lone soldier in the desert.
Yeah, your best bet is to be like the guy with all the water and giving it to people.
Yeah, well, yeah, you got to be somewhere within the ranks and try and climb them. I think.
Yeah, for sure. What was that guy's name? He had like a funny name too. In Fury Road.
Scrotus Scabrous.
Yeah, that's the guy in the video game. Scrotus Scabrous.
I'm going back to your question though. I mean, well, not question. I should say your comment about everyone wanted to be Max. I don't know if you necessarily know what you mean by when you say that.
Well, if you,
let me just explain because I think for me it was more like it wasn't just being that guy who had the strength to stand up against those in the wasteland doing everything wrong, and he's got to do everything right. That good or evil thing doesn't really kick in there. I think he was more like a guy where he couldn't save his own loved ones back home or wherever they were during that whole apocalyptic event. He couldn't save them, and he keeps it to himself. So he's almost become so cold and calculated that now all it is just sheer survival. It's not. He believes he's just not human anymore. So that whole retribution or thrive for it, there's what he's aiming for. I don't know if I want to be that guy. You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to regain what I lost, even though I'll never regain it because my family's already dead in the first place. Losing one loved ones is one thing, but losing it in such a dramatic fashion, I don't know. Wouldn't want to be that.
Yeah, it's always a great price to be like a hero, like in these movies, right?
Yeah.
So
Tom Hardy's
nothing is
character had the
free.
same effect too.
Kathy wants to be Furiosa. That's all the women, I'm sure, they're like, yeah, I want to be Furiosa.
I smeared grease on my eyes.
Whatever, take one of my limbs off. Give me that metallic hand.
Sure.
Charlize Theron was great in that role.
Yes, I have to admit.
And a brand new hero, like, I mean, she could probably have her own franchise out of that. They could easily make spin-off of her, like, you know what I mean?
Easily.
If they wanted to go overboard with it, which they, well, it's Hollywood, they will, so.
Does that hand have a pulse mode?
What's that?
So does that hand have a pulse mode?
I want 5. But on boom.
I missed something. Over my head.
Edit.
Edit that out. Can we edit that out to make me sound smarter there?
Thanks, yeah.
Done and done.
Done and done. Apparently, Boo's leaving early.
So we'll see him in 35 minutes.
Well, it doesn't matter because we're going to be signing out soon. We actually spent a whole hour talking about that. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, if you like what you hear, please subscribe, listen to more. This is...
We promise nothing.
We promise nothing.
We promise nothing.
We couldn't even promise a delivery on that line there. That was totally awful.
Okay, edit and...
We promise nothing. This is Jpar signing out. Apparently no one else is signing out. We'll see you guys next week.